Have you ever wondered how far belief can take you? How far can the power of your mind go? If you truly believe in your ability to overcome obstacles? Today, we will explore a story about belief, not just in oneself, but in a deeper power that resides within all of us. This is a story that delves into the Buddhist teachings about the strength we possess when we abandon self-doubt and trust in the Dharma. Welcome to Buddhist Motivation, the channel that aims to inspire and empower you through the wisdom of Buddhist philosophy. In today's video, we are going to dive into a tale that will challenge your perception of your own strength. It's not just about overcoming personal limitations, it's about discovering the potential that you might not even realize you have. Before we get started, if you resonate with this message, please help me out by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support through comments and likes really encourages me to create more videos like this to help you on your journey of self-discovery and growth. Let's dive into today's story, one that will inspire you to unlock your inner strength. Story: The Young Monk and a Great River. In a peaceful Buddhist monastery, nestled at the edge of a serene mountain, lived a young monk named Satori. He was just 14 years old and had only recently taken the robes. Satori was eager to learn the teachings of the Buddha, but he often doubted his own ability to truly follow the path. He believed that the wisdom of the elders was beyond his reach, and often felt discouraged. One afternoon, Satori's master, Venerable Shinji, asked him to bring water from the river that flowed beneath the temple. The river was known for its strong current, especially after the rain. But Satori accepted the task with a heavy heart. As he made his way toward the river, he thought to himself, "I am too weak. I will never be able to carry enough water back to the temple. This is too difficult." As Satori reached the river, the current was stronger than he had anticipated. He could hardly stand against the rushing water, let alone fill his bucket. He struggled, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't even fill a quarter of the bucket. He was about to give up when he heard a voice behind him. It was Venerable Shinji, watching quietly from the bank. "Why do you struggle, young one?" asked the elder monk. Satori, embarrassed, said, "Master, the current is too strong. I am too weak to bring the water back to the temple." Venerable Shinji smiled and walked over to the river's edge. He knelt down and placed his hands into the flowing water. He gently cupped the water in his hands and said, "The current is strong, yes. But your strength lies not in fighting the water. It lies in understanding it. Don't resist, let the water flow through you. Just as the Dharma flows through us, so should you flow with the circumstances." Satori hesitated at first, but as he slowly relaxed and stopped fighting the current, he found that he could collect more water. With each step, he learned to move with the current, not against it. By the time he reached the temple, his bucket was full. When he returned to Master Shinji, the elder monk said, "The river did not become weaker. You became stronger by learning to flow with it." In the same way, when you trust the teachings of the Buddha and flow with life, you'll find your strength, not in resistance, but in acceptance. The real strength comes from belief in your ability to adapt, not in your desire to fight the circumstances. We often face challenges that feel insurmountable. We may think we are too weak, too small, or not capable enough. But when we trust in our inner strength and align ourselves with the wisdom of the Buddha, we realize that we have the ability to navigate through even the most difficult circumstances. The only limit we have is the one we place on ourselves. Story of the Buddha and the parable of the lotus flower. Let's now turn to another Buddhist story, a parable that beautifully ties in with the power of belief and the overcoming of limitations. Once upon a time, in a quiet corner of ancient India, a young man named Ananda approached the Buddha, feeling disheartened. He had been practicing meditation for years, but still felt as though he hadn't achieved the peace he sought. "Master," Ananda asked, "I've been meditating for so long, but I still struggle with doubts and fears. How do I overcome them?" The Buddha, sitting calmly under the shade of a tree, pointed to a lotus flower that was blooming by the side of the path. "Look at this lotus flower," the Buddha said. "Do you see how it rises above the muddy water, untouched by it?" Ananda nodded, watching the flower as it bloomed in the sunlight. The Buddha continued, "The lotus grows in the mud, but it does not let the mud touch its petals. Similarly, in life, you may face challenges, doubts, and fears. They are like the mud. But your true nature, like the lotus, is pure and capable of rising above it." Ananda looked puzzled. "But Master, how can I be like the lotus when my doubts feel so overwhelming?" The Buddha smiled gently and replied, "The lotus doesn't struggle with the mud. It simply grows toward the light, toward the sun. And so must you. Do not fight your doubts or fears. Instead, focus on your practice. Grow toward the light of wisdom, toward the Dharma. Believe in your ability to rise above the mud, and you will." In that moment, Ananda understood. The struggle was not in trying to remove the mud or doubts, but in trusting the path, focusing on the light of wisdom, and allowing his true nature to bloom like the lotus. We all face struggles and doubts. These are like the mud beneath the lotus. But just as the lotus rises above the mud without fighting it, we too must rise above our challenges by focusing on the light of wisdom, trust in ourselves, and belief in the Dharma. The obstacles in our lives don't define us. Our ability to remain focused on the path to enlightenment does. Our true potential. In life, we often limit ourselves due to external factors, such as advice from others or societal pressures. The story of Satori shows that when we stop resisting circumstances and instead learn to adapt and flow with them, our true potential expands. In reality, our true capabilities are not limited by what we think are boundaries, but by our ability to adapt to challenges. If we pause and reflect, we will realize that what we perceive as impossible is often merely self-created barriers. We tend to set limits for ourselves, and sometimes, these limitations prevent us from growing. The self-awareness that challenges are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth opens up a new world for us. We are truly stronger than we think, as long as we believe that we can overcome them. Acceptance of reality and not fighting it. One of the great lessons we can learn from Satori's story is accepting the situation instead of fighting against it. In life, when faced with uncontrollable situations, instead of resisting them, it's important to understand that we can find ways to work with them. Often, fighting against the situation only makes us exhausted without yielding any results. This acceptance doesn't mean giving up or surrendering. Rather, it's about changing our approach to handle difficulties. We can use wisdom and patience to resolve problems, instead of feeling weak or helpless when facing challenges. By accepting that not everything will go our way, we can learn valuable lessons from these experiences. Self-belief and practice. Self-belief is an essential factor in overcoming any challenge in life. We may not always see the clear path ahead, but if we trust in our inner strength and abilities, we will find ways to solve any problem. This is true not only in studies or work but also in our daily lives. The situation in Satoru's story shows the truth that when we believe in ourselves, we can achieve results beyond expectations. In Buddhism, this belief is not about self-satisfaction, but about having a clear awareness of our ability to practice and grow spiritually. Self-belief helps us persevere and stay steady, no matter the challenges ahead. The lesson of focusing on the light. Ananda's story of the lotus is a perfect illustration of focusing on what's positive and letting go of negative worries. In life, we can easily get caught up in concerns about the future or self-doubt. But when we focus on core values and methods that help us grow, we will find the path upwards. The lotus is a symbol of purity and enlightenment in Buddhism, growing from the mud but untouched by it. In life, we are also like the lotus. We may face challenges or difficult situations, but if we focus on wisdom, nothing can taint our hearts. When we face difficulties, instead of focusing on the negative, we should focus on the good qualities and values we hold within. Self-belief is true strength. In life, we sometimes limit ourselves by not believing in our own capabilities. Words from others, societal expectations, or our own internal fears often make us give up before even trying. But just like in Satoru's story, when we believe that we can achieve something, we will find a way to make it happen. What matters is not physical ability or external conditions, but the belief in our own potential and the determination to not give up. Both of these stories highlight a powerful Buddhist teaching. The limits we perceive are often self-imposed. In times of difficulty, it is not the challenges themselves that defeat us, but our belief in our inability to overcome them. Just like the young monk who learned to flow with the current, or Ananda who learned to focus on the light and not the mud, we too must believe in our ability to transcend the obstacles before us. As we move through life, challenges are inevitable. But these stories remind us that our true strength comes from within. By trusting in the teachings of the Buddha, we can rise above anything. It's not the doubts that define us, it's our belief that strengthens us. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what would happen if I believe that I can? Reflection questions for viewers. What are the muddy waters in your life that you need to rise above? How can you apply the lesson of the lotus flower in your own practice? What are the limiting beliefs you hold? And how can you transform them through trust in yourself and the Dharma? Thank you for watching this episode of Buddhist Motivation. Keep believing in your strength. And remember, like the lotus, you are meant to bloom no matter the circumstances. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts and reflections on today's lesson. See you in the next video, where we will continue to explore more wisdom and teachings to help you on your journey toward enlightenment and self-empowerment.